You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today my special guest is Candace Mazur. She's a dedicated physiotherapist at the Joint Physiotherapy in St. Albert, Alberta. Her career was inspired by her own experience as a competitive BMX racer, where physical therapy helped her secure a spot on Team Canada following a severe injury. A graduate of the University of Alberta's Faculty of Rehabilitation Medicine, Candace specializes in general and pelvic health physiotherapy. With over 15 years of experience as a gymnastics coach, she combines her athletic background with clinical experience to help patients optimize their movement and recovery. It is my pleasure to have Candace Mazur on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Gary, for having me.
So, Candace, I gave a quick overview of your success, but can you fill in the details of what you do, who you serve, and how long you've been doing this for?
So I've now been a physical therapist for about 9 years.
Okay.
It's my ninth year of clinical practice. I mostly cater now to pelvic health individuals. I started that specialty right in school. I really wanted to help into that area for more so women's health. And I started that as a student. I was really, really lucky to have a great mentor at the time when I had a clinical placement here in Edmonton, actually. And I was quite lucky to be kind of taken under her wing. And that's where I really kind of grown a little bit more of a passion for women's health. And ever since then started into that. So now most of my clinical practice is in pelvic health. And so I do see both females and males for that, but I would say primarily my practice is the female population. I still do see some regular kind of MSK or musculoskeletal physical therapy practice. So your knee injuries or a neck injury or whiplash, things like that. But that's a smaller part of my practice at this point.
Right. So what kind of led you to become a physiotherapist?
In general, even from a kid, I was always getting injured. I did a lot of sports. So yes, you talked about my BMX. I was a gymnast ever since being like a little girl, and I still like doing gymnastics now. And I played rugby. I did basketball throughout school. So I was always in a lot of sport, which meant a lot of injuries.
Okay.
And so I saw a lot of physical therapists myself. And I saw how much that was helpful to getting me back into gameplay as soon as possible. It also just seemed like a really cool job. They got to be with you as a patient in the gym. They got to help you and guide you, through the injury. They just seemed so knowledgeable about things. When I got to high school, I loved biology. So there was just so many things that tied together for physical therapy in general. So then I kind of routed my first degree, my biology degree, to get into physical therapy just because it just seemed like the right way to go. And so I think all the way from being a young kid to my bio degree seemed like the right direction for me.
Right. So just having that personal experience of when you were younger, of having the physiotherapist there and being able to help you. And so you wanted to maybe give back and help others like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just something that was integral for my sports in my life. Getting me, keeping me active and keeping me at the level that I was able to attain for sport. And so, yes, it was definitely being able to give back and just an interest. And it's a great career with keeping active yourself. So it's a really fun place to be and something that I was always interested in with anatomy and movement and the physiology. And it seemed natural, like it was a no-brainer.
Right. So I mean, with the like right now you specialize in pelvic health area and what do you like about like focusing on that such a niche area?
Yeah, pelvic health is definitely different. I had to shift my mindset of how I practiced from general physical therapy to pelvic.
Mm-hmm.
Do like about pelvic is there's a little bit more one-on-one time with a patient. So
Okay.
really get that time to build rapport. I really like that part. I like the not that you're not helping someone, of course, getting them back to basketball or back to football or whatever their sport might be. But when someone comes back to me and says, I can go on a walk now and I'm not peeing my pants, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
have this crippling pain anymore with my period. Like some of that is just life changing, where they can now go and do day to day tasks. And that just for me is so amazing to hear the feedback from my patients. And that has made a world of difference for their life, and it also just is so fulfilling as a practitioner to have that feedback. So it definitely has helped me transition into that, and that's where my mentor that I spoke about, she also felt that same way. She's like, I just love this area of practice because you really do feel like you're changing people's lives. And so that's awesome. And I do also love the one-on-one building rapport. You get a little bit more time with each patient. And for me, I love the connection.
Right, right, right. Like getting that kind of feedback that you can really help someone must be, very quite fulfilling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of sets you apart from the competition? Like what comes easy to you that others find challenging?
I think a lot of what I would say it is taking that time with each patient, learning what's going on with their body and listening to them. I think that's
Hmm.
probably one of the biggest skill sets is just taking the time to listen. Pelvic health is very, very different. We're not out in the open in the gym like we would be in general practice. We're more so in, a closed doctor's office doing different type of exams. And so you have to have a very high level of trust in that type of environment. And
Hmm.
that also means that you've got to take your time and just have your patients listen to your patients. And so
Yeah.
I think that that is one skill set that I'm very good at is giving them the time to give me their full story. And a lot
Hmm.
of times, particular, I will say in women's health, where so many patients say, I just don't think people have listened to my story or haven't heard all of my symptoms. And I like to be that person who can put it all together for them if I can
Mm.
be. And
Hmm.
if I'm not the person who can put it together, I try to maybe find another practitioner who can. I try and maybe refer out and get a little bit of a team that can work together. And
Hmm.
I think that's maybe the skill set that I can be really good at for the patient. But often it's just hearing their story and taking that time with them.
Right, right. Oh, that's a great tip. What other tips or suggestions would you give someone who wants to be more successful?
I think the biggest one and what's made me successful to where I'm at this point was honestly having a really good mentor. Um,
Okay.
I think that that is just so valuable in an industry like this. We can learn a lot from a textbook and
Yeah.
we can figure out, the anatomy and the different diagnoses and whatever that we need to memorize. But that doesn't always mean that that's going to translate into clinical practice. So I do think that it's so important to find someone who's able to mentor you because clinical experience is the most valuable thing to be able to shadow and just learn from experience. And then also be able to be humbled at a lot of times in medicine because again, some things that we're learning in our classrooms and from courses might not always work with every patient. And I let my patients know that, hey, if this doesn't work for your body, let me know. That's okay.
Hmm.
We'll go back to the drawing board and we're going to figure out what does work. You just
Hmm.
got to be willing to try a couple things. And as
Yeah.
long as they know that and that you're willing to work with them and that you're not the person who's right 100% of the time, we're only going to try my way or the highway, then that's
Yeah.
also a great way to approach things. Your patient knows that you're on their team.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so it's being able to listen to the patient and try different things, and if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, then try something else. That's what it
Absolutely.
sounds like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
What's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career, and how were you able to turn that into a positive?
I think a big challenge for me was trying to get more into this specialty. Um,
Okay.
when I did graduate, there wasn't a lot of people in pelvic health. And
Okay.
so I often was the only pelvic health therapist at one clinic. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just learning on my own, trying to read as much as I can. I was learning by trial and error. And so that was a big challenge. And
Okay.
eventually it was reaching out to try and find, like I said, mentorship, uh,
Right.
whether that was another pelvic health therapist in the city. I reached out to gynecologists, urologists, other fields, and was like, I just want to learn from you. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me a while to figure that out, um,
Mm-hmm.
and realize that I can't do this on my own. So I
Yeah.
think that was probably a big challenge, was just recognizing that you can't do it by yourself. You do need the network. And now I do think that there's a little bit more resources for people trying to get into this specialty. Even the University of Alberta has a pelvic health course that they offer, which at
Okay.
the time of me graduating, that was not in service. So I was going, to Calgary or to Toronto, to other places to get my coursework done and
Yeah.
self-learning.
Right, right, right. So I mean, did you have some sort of goal? Like, how did you know that, okay, pelvic health was kind of your area and you wanted to make sure that, you wanted to grow in that area?
I think at first, to be honest, I don't know if I knew that it was the area for me. Um,
Right.
I often share with my patients because they almost all ask me, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
And I was a little bit thrown into it. Was just matched up with someone over a clinical placement as a student who did
Okay.
this in pelvic floor. And so for 1 week, I had the opportunity to shadow someone who did this, and it just piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I just think that you maybe have the right, demeanor, the right mannerisms to get into this. And
Okay.
from there, I was like, yeah, you know what? If I can do this without maybe feeling awkward or making other, like the patients feeling odd or off, and making them feeling supported, then maybe I should go into this. And then it just came very natural to me. But if you would have asked me when I entered physical therapy, I was like, I'm going to be a sports physio because that's what I grew up thinking.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
really a natural thing that I had first thought of doing.
Right.
I didn't get
Yeah.
1 week shadow. I don't know if I would have been here.
Right. Right. And then having great mentors
Mhm.
to support you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
it was kind of just cool that it just worked out that way for me. And I'm super, super glad that it did, because it does seem like it's been the natural fit for me.
Right, right, right. It sounds like things are going really well for you. As a busy healthcare professional, a lot of time is spent looking after clients. When looking towards the future, many don't want to have to be working so hard for that income. So some look at different ways of creating income and profits outside of actively working. Things like investing in stocks, bonds, crypto, or using a financial planner. What are your thoughts about ways of creating income outside of your work?
I do think that that is super important.
Hmm.
I know that, yeah, it's not my strong suit to go and do a lot of that research. But I do think it's important to start that, as young as you can, and
Yeah.
Even if that's not your strong suit, to maybe do the research on it and do it yourself or self-guided to, like you said, have a financial planner or something that can be helpful for that, whether it's, there's AI now. I use something that helps me with investing that's AI guided.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
neat opportunities out there nowadays that can diversify for you, because I love to learn and I love to read. But I will say that a lot of my reading is more physiology and anatomy based and not as financial based, even though I am interested in that. And I've tried, but I'm like, I'm just not going to watch a lot of this every day. But I
Yeah.
know that it's valuable and it's important. So instead, I use financial planning and now dabbling into some of the AI structures for investing as well, which is very cool. So there's definitely importance in getting that started and getting that started at a young age as well.
Right, right. Yeah. Like I've heard that, the younger you start, the better it is because time is, well, can be your friend if you're young, but can also be your enemy if you're older.
Yes, exactly. Your whole method will shift.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Candace, that wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts and insights and tips with us. It was a real pleasure. Um, on the show. And if people want to connect with you, what's the best way?
Best way is either to call the clinic itself. So at the Joint Physiotherapy, you can call us at 780-851-1505. Or I am pretty active on social media. So both my Instagram and TikTok handle are just my first name. So at Candace_physio. And that's kind of the easiest way to connect with me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at truenorthsuccessshow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.